بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها فإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah for bringing us back to our hadith lessons in which we delve into the book by Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi, the Arba'un hadith. So today we start with the second hadith. Inshallah, Imam Nawawi starts al-hadith al-thani and Umar radiyallahu anhu aidan. So as we promised, we said that inshallah, when we are doing the second hadith, since it is narrated by Umar, we are going to talk briefly about him. But before we do that, we are going to recite the hadith, which is very important. But this hadith is a bit longer, so we are going to divide it into two. We recite the first part, then after that we talk about Sayyidina Umar, radiyallahu anhu. Then when we are done, inshallah, the next time we recite the rest of the hadith, then after that we just translate it to the best of our abilities. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. So Imam al-Nawawi continued. And Umar radiyallahu anhu aydan قال بينما نحن جلوس عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم إذ طلع علينا رجل شديد بياض الثياب شديد سواد الشعر لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه منا أحد حتى جلس إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتيه ووضع كفيه على فخذيه وقال يا محمد أخبرني عن الإسلام. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الإسلام أن تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله وتقيم الصلاة وتؤتي الزكاة وتصوم رمضان وتحج البيت إن استطعت إليه سبيلا. قال صدقت. فعجبنا له يسأله ويصدقه. قال فأخبرني عن الإيمان. قال أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره. قال صدقت. So inshallah we are going to end there, and as we promised, inshallah, we are going to use the book to talk briefly about Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu. So in this book, as was reported by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Jardani Abdimiyati al-Shafi'i, he talked briefly about the great companion Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu. So in the book, Sheikh started by talking about Sayyidina Umar. Of course, as we know, Sayyidina Umar was the one who reported this hadith. So he is saying that huwa awwalu man sumiya Amir al-Mu'minin, or Amir al-Mu'minin. So Sayyidina Umar was the first one who was called Amirul Mu'minin. We all know the popular name. Even in the first hadith, you recall, he was called an Amirul Mu'minin or Amirul Mu'minin. That is the leader of the believers, right? So the author is saying that he was the first to be called that name, al-umum. Like he was the first, like generally he was the first ever to be called that name. Because Sayyidina Abu Bakr was called Khalifa to Rasulillah. He was called the successor of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So initially Sayyidina Umar was also called the successor of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to be pleased with them too. So after Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu died, Sayyidina Umar, as we know, succeeded him. So he was called the successor of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sammahu bidhalik ba'du sahaba. So some portion of the companion actually gave him that name. Waqila, it was said, innahu qala linnas fi ba'di khutabihi. He said in Umar one day was giving the khutbah, then he told the people, Ayyuhan nas, antumul mu'minun wa ana amirukum. He said, you are the believers and I am your leader, right? So Fasumiya Amirul Mu'minin. Then because of that, he was called the leader of the what? Of the believers. So he was on the khutbah giving he was on the pulpit giving the khutbah. Then he basically said, you are the believers and I'm your leader, right? So he was called Amirul Mu'minin. Ever since then, all the those who succeeded him were called Amirul Mu'minin, Amirul Mu'minin. So after him came Sayyidina Uthman, he was called Amirul Mu'minin. After him came Sayyidina Ali, he was also called Amirul Mu'minin, radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. So وَكَانَ قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ يُقَالُ له, said, as I said, he said before that, it was said to him, Khalifa of the, that is the successor of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Khalifa to Khalifa to Rasulullah. He was called the successor of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَالَّذِي كُنَّاهُ بِأَبِي حَفْصٍ. He was also given al-kunya. Al-kunya is like a nickname, but it's not like a nickname. It's something that is very known among the Arabs. Abi Hafs. Abi Hafs. Abi Hafs النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لما رأى فيه من الشدة. He was called Abi Hafs. Abi Hafs is like the father of like the lions or something like that. He was called as such because of what was seen in him of like strength. He was very strong. Well, Hafs lugatan al-Asad, and as I said, the Hafs lugatan, when you literally translate it, it means the like a lion. And his laqab, this is the nickname, Bil Farouk. He was given a laqab, that is a nickname of Al Farouk, someone who differentiates between what? The truth and falsehood. لأنه أو لأن الله تعالى فرق به بين الحق والباطل. Allah used him to differentiate between the truth and the what? And the falsehood. And I mean, we can't go through, if not this will take our time, but then these are some things that we can say. For example, فهو أول من جهز جهر بالإسلام وأيد الله به دعوة الصادق المصدوق. He was the first to aid in us bringing Islam in the open, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthened the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or strengthened the call to Islam by him. Lima qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the Hadith, the Prophet once made a dua that Allah should strengthen Islam bihabbi rajulaini ilayk, with one of these two individuals. Then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, bi Umar ibn al-Khattab or bi Amr ibn Hisham. Amr ibn Hisham is Abu Jahl. The Prophet made a dua that that Allah should strengthen this religion of Islam by either one of these two individuals, that is Umar ibn al-Khattab or Amr ibn Hisham. Amr ibn Hisham, that is Abu Jahl. So he said, فَأَصْبَحَ Umar, then Umar was the one who became a Muslim. فَقَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Jibril once came to him, then told him that he should be happy because no, he said that he should be, like, he was giving him glad tidings. Like the Jibril was giving the Prophet glad tidings. And what was the glad tidings? He was telling the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Ahlus Sama Fariha, he said, indeed, the people of the heavens are happy, what? Be Islam Umar, with the what? With the conversion of the companion Umar ibn al-Khattab. The people of the heavens are happy because Umar has become a Muslim. So that is how important Sayyidina Umar was to this religion of Islam. And of course, there are some details. For example, some said that he converted to Islam in the 5th year. Some said no, he converted in the 6th year. And Sayyidina Umar was someone who contributed, as I said, immensely to the advancement of what? Islam. Wallahi, there are some really important details here. For example, anna shaitan yafiru minhu. Whenever Sayyidina Umar is working, the shaitan, that is Iblis, runs away from him. The Iblis runs away from him. And also, like during the time that he was leading the Muslim, there was a lot of how do you call it, fairness in the entire Muslim world because of his just ruling. And I would like to end Umar radiallahu anhu, as was reported, he died when he was 63 years old. He died as a shaheed. He died as a martyr because he was killed, actually, someone by the name of Abu Lu'la, Abu Lu'lu Nasrani was the one who actually stabbed him when he was praying. And wadufina fil hujra in the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Uh, he was buried in the house of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the house of our mother Nana Aisha radiallahu anha. So that is something small about Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. So it was said that when Sayyidina Umar died, someone was heard saying that "Adkhilul Habib ila al Habib." He said that the Habib, that is the lover, has entered upon his beloved, because when he died, he was buried in the words in the place that the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was buried. So someone was heard saying that indeed the lover has entered upon his beloved. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala continue to be pleased with him, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala allow us to be able to follow in their good steps. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.